Brothers and sisters, generals, welcome to another EBX discussion and/or book session. And I know those are doing great. If you're listening to the sound of one's voice, we keep thriving, never surviving, and just maintaining that peace that so many of us have, did what it takes and went through the measures and all the human layers, brother or sister, young or older, family member, to get us to the space that we are in. That's why I thank thy ancestors, the generals, brother or sister, that did what they had to do. We talking about the righteous generals that got many of us in that great divine space that we are in. And I didn't volunteer this week, was a little tired, was a little bit of a challenge this week, had some challenges with one's car, and my trunk was locked, but I got it unstuck. And things come at us sometimes, but when we stay on top of ourselves, we be ready for what's to come. That's brother or sister, just a matter of paying attention. Something my son Lord Lamont, both of us, we always speak on staying aware, but he's some changes he's gonna have to make in his life. Some things he's gonna have to do to better himself. Because if the young brothers and sisters that listen to me, if you learn nothing else, what I always say 1,000 times, you better focus on that present. Because I know I say it a lot, but it will ultimately benefit us in the future. When you start seeing results of doing the right thing, it just, you become hungry to do better, unless you just like being toxic and you like evil. And, if that's what the kind of life you want to live, then feel sorry for you. But if you want to grow and learn, we do things to help us to grow and learn. We put forth the effort, so salute to my son, Lord Lamont, for putting forth the effort in his life, and any other young brother or sister doing what they got to do to just be the righteous brother and sister we can possibly be. And as I always say, folks, then the deep spiritual insight will come. But we got to iron out those human errors, the things that distract us in our body, mind, body, and soul. Make sure we keep our seeing, hearing, and feeling sharp. Watch out for the emotions we have, all those good things, all those good qualities that make for a general, what a lot of us great teachers salute. Be thankful for the righteous, real, emphasis on real, like-minded teachers out here. Because in some areas of our lives, we hear a word or see something or somebody doing something for us, or we see somebody doing something positive. It just enlightens us, if our mind is ready for that and it's open for the righteous things. Not everything, just righteous things. So just keep going, and remember, it's no longer, it's less stress or no stress at all. Because when you become wise, become a little more aware, my brothers and sisters, current subscriber, new subscriber, anybody that view, I salute you and thank you and want nothing but the good for those who listen. But when we become wise, challenges we come across, things we face in life, person, place, or thing, become lessons. That's how we look at it. And it always boils down to what, or comes back to what? How we are as an individual deep within. As long as we know we're not perfect and we're somewhat humble, not a soft humble, we'll breeze through this life, even through the so-called tough times. Because if you're in the right space, guess what? There'll be less tough times. I'm talking about tough things that one creates themselves. We'll no longer be looking for trouble or step into trouble. Sometimes trouble can come to us, but that's just life. But when we're not seeking trouble, a lot of times there'll be less. Because when you're in a righteous space, brother or sister, family member, toxic things around us will be highlighted, and we'll see them for what they are. And we'll learn what, my generals, the art of anticipation, because it's a wonderful thing. Because when you're able to anticipate things, we can almost see the future. All right, well, let's get to this book I want to read. And we are back with another book session, and this is episode 3, The Contender. And I read pages out of the book. Again, this is a book my goddaughter gave me, Skylar, which is doing very well as her other siblings, my godchildren, and my biological children. As far as I know, their mothers are doing okay. And as I always say, I have 2 biological daughters that I haven't seen, and I have a son that I haven't seen. They stay out of town. So I just hope they're great. I know ain't no hope. I know that great divine is protecting them and prospering them because it's in their DNA, it's in their spirit. It flows all throughout one's family. We got that God protection in our family. Might not be perfect, but we, as I always say, we take care of our shit. So if you have a family, if you're in a family or come from a family that's disciplined and you got that disciplined DNA, be thankful. Carry that through. You know, as I always say, we come up through different ways of living and thinking, but we take what we don't take, but we learn and we use righteously what we learn from our families. Because we got to remember, folks, our parents, our grandparents, they did the best they could with what they had. I'm not really speaking for nobody. I'm just kind of speaking in general terms. But as I heard a great brother say, pull that good. You know what I'm saying? Pull the good things, the good qualities of our families and invest in it and flourish. Not being better per se, just different. Because that's a rule I live by. No one's better, just different, And everyone has a divine ability and or quality. It's just a matter of what, brothers and sisters, generals, family, tapping into that shit. Be that powerful being that we are and can be. So let's get to this book session I want to read. In the last couple of episodes, I read pages from a book called Contender because I said I wanted to get into reading. And why is that? As I say, and many of us, those who are wise, we know, brother or sister, reading is good. It broadens the vocabulary. As I said, it keeps our minds sharp. And it's interesting, the words we come across and just the things we read and feel in books. It's wonderful. And it creates, it helps to build an imagination because imagination connects to creativity. Now, we talk about a righteous imagination, and creativity is wonderful. And that's whatever that is. Remember, folks, there's a trillion billion gifts in that universe. So there's no 1, 2, 3, and it don't matter if it's small or big. If it start out small, cultivate it and develop it into something big. But we're not looking to make it nothing big. We're just investing in what we love, whatever gift that is. It's not always something material. It's not always something seen in the limelight. It's just something between us and God, the real God now, not that false shit. All right, now I want to get to this book, The Contender, and I'm going to start back where I left off. And it's a book called The Contender, and I said it already, but by a man called Robert Lipsyte, and he is Caucasian. I found that out. But I'm just, and I'm just speaking on, the book. He writes some good books, I think. And he talk about, in this book, is people that we've known. And a salute and rest in peace and in power to Dick Gregory, because he was actually in this book. And I read it on, I think the last episode 2. Dick Gregory name popped up in this book. And Muhammad Ali, of course, Tyson, he's in this book. And it's just wonderful. And Tyson's coach that passed away. So it's a good book, I think. And so I do this because reading is good. And it's for me and those who listen. So let's get into it. Episode 3 of the Contender book session. I'm going to start back where I left off, the last page. And the pages that I have been reading on the past episodes, those were the intro pages. I haven't actually got to the numbered pages. So that's a correction on that, because I thought it was the starting of the book, but it was actually the intro of the book. So the pages I read on the past couple of episodes were the intro to the story. But so the last page of the intro, I'm gonna start. That's where I left off last time I read. I'm gonna start there. So let's go. The Contender, another book session, episode 2. My generals. All right. Now, he was talking about how his book was acknowledged, and he was just reminiscing and reflecting on, all the people who acknowledged the book he read. So here we go. I'm going to start back where I left off. Let's go. Okay, this is Robert Lipsyte speaking before the story began. The intro part. All right, here we go. Getting to the top is an extra reward, summed up by the meaning of the book. For them. This is the people who he talking about, the people who acknowledged it. As a writer, getting to the top is an extra reward, summed up the meaning of the book for them. As a writer, I have never felt as thrilled as I was that day 50 years ago. My list of acknowledgments for the Contender was long. Parents, teachers, editors, friends, and it's way longer now. But I need to add my thanks to the 8 readers: Corey Boston, Zion Snow, Javas Chambers, Ramel Washington. I might be mispronouncing some of these names. Centrell Johnson, Trail Beasley, Paris, London, and Avery Brown for keeping alive the spirit of the kid coming up, the contender. Keep reading and keep punching. Robert Litzite, May 2017, Shelter Island, New York. And yeah, so that's for my New Yorkers out there. A lot of speakers, I listen to, a lot of them are from New York, so they hear this, they definitely can relate to this book. I was kind of surprised too when I started reading it, because it's a brother I listen to, and he's from New York. It's a couple of brothers I listen to that's from New York, and I'm sure if they heard this, they can definitely relate, because when I read the intro from the last episode, it was speaking on New York and 1965, and it's just some really familiar places. See, I've been to New York, but I don't really know New York that well. So, and I'm sure whatever I read in those last pages in that last episode, those who from New York would definitely relate to what I read in this book, because the guy was, I think he was in Los Angeles, New York, Las Vegas, couple of states and cities and stuff he named in this book. But let's keep going. And we are now starting on page 1 of the Contender. That was the last of the intro I just read. So let's keep going. This is page 1 of the Contender. And thank those for coming in to a book session, because I want to do more of these. Get into reading. It's good. Reading is good. Knowledge too. Don't forget to look up knowledge and read knowledge in ourselves, mind, body, and soul. Things in the world, just things we never think about. Study it. We got something going on in our lives or in our body. Study it. Look it up. All right, here we go. Page 1 of the Contender. He waited on the stoop. This is the beginning of the page of the book. He waited on the stoop. Remember, this is about it's about a boxer. It's about boxing. And on the cover, it shows a brother that's a boxer standing in the corner, boxing gloves on and boxing trunks. And on the cover, it looks like he's contemplating and thinking, but he's in the corner waiting to fight. All right. He waited on the stoop until twilight, pretending to watch the sun melt into the dirty gray Harlem sky. See, this is in New York. Up and down the street, transistor radios clicked on, and humid is a humid into the sore air. Humid into the sore air. I'm gonna start that over. I kind of fumbled. Excuse me. He waited on the stoop until twilight, pretending to watch the sun melt into the dirty gray Harlem sky. Up and down the street, translator radios clicked on, and humid into the sore air. Hummed into the sore air. Hummed into the sore air. Men dragged out card tablets, laughing. Cars cruised through the garbage and broken glass. Older guys showing off their Friday night girls. Another 5 minutes, he thought. I'll give James another 5 minutes. You still here, Alfred? Aunt Pearl came out on the stoop, her round face damp from the kitchen. He tried to sound casual. You know, James. He better hurry or we'll miss the first picture. So I guess his brother was waiting on the stoop, waiting on somebody to come watch a movie or something. And the lady came out from the restaurant, cooking or something, sound like. All right, we're moving over to page 2. He's never been this late. Alfred, why don't you go upstairs and call his house? Maybe he's sick. James ain't sick. Alfred stood up. How you know that? Her eyes narrowed. That's what the woman, the auntie, said that came out and spoke to him. You know where he's at. Her eyes narrowed. You know where he's at. Maybe he's hanging out with those worthless punks. Ain't he? Alfred, maybe you just better. Alfred, let me say, he's hanging out with those worthless punks, ain't he? Alfred, Maybe you just better, Alfred. Alfred, maybe you say, maybe you just better, excuse me, Alfred. But he was already off the stoop and moving fast, his sneakers slapping on the sidewalk. Packs of little kids, raggedy and skinny, raced past him. Dang, that's kind of harsh. Raced past him along the gutter's edge, kicking empty beer cans ahead of them. Used to used to do that too when we were little. Used to do that too when we were little, he thought. One thing I could always do better than James. I was always faster. Big deal. He slowed down. He slowed down. He stopped at the mouth of the alley and took a deep breath. What am I? James. James Shadow or something? I don't need him, but he marched to the basement steps and plunged down into the club room. He plunged down to, let me see, big deal. Let me see, Shadow. Okay, sorry, y'all. And he plunged down into the club room. Hollis and Sony were sprawled on the long, sagged couch. Hollis, Hollis, Hollis. Sony, I'm gonna say Sonny. Okay, Hollis and Sonny were sprawled on the long, sagging couch, snapping their fingers to the scratchy record. Major was flexing his arm. I guess these are people that was in the club he went in. Major was flexing his arm muscles at the cracked mirror over the mop sink. Only James trying to read a Only James trying to read a magazine in the dim light of naked bulb of the naked bulb, bulb with nothing on it, like we see in the basement. Okay, looked up. Hey man, what's happening? Nothing much, said Alfred. Ready to go to the movies? Not unless it's free night, said James. I got some money, said Alfred. Major turned slowly and let his muscles relax. How much you got, Alfred? Sonny and Hollis stopped snapping. I said, how much you got, Alfred? Nothing, mumbled Alfred, staring down at the tips of his sneakers. You the only one working, and you got paid today, said Major. What you got? Gave it to my aunt, said Alfred. That's the lady that came out and spoke to him when he was waiting on James to come. Okay. Said Alfred. Gave it to my aunt. Mimicked Major. You such a good sweet boy, old Uncle Alfred. Old Uncle Alfred. Sonny giggled and Hollis grinned. Bucktooth James looked away. Don't you know this club has got dues? Major folded his arms across his bulging t-shirt. Major must have been a big dude. Hollis leaned back into the couch. Go collect the dues, Sonny. That's the other friend name that was sitting next to the dude named Major. Okay. Dude, Sonny turned Alfred upside down and make the dues fall out. Let me see. Sonny turned Alfred upside down and make the dues fall out his pockets. Turn Alfred upside down, echoed Sonny. Okay, here we go. Now we're going on. We on page 4. Blankly, he said blankly. He stood up, taller than any of them, and almost as heavily muscled as Major. Major must have been a big dude. Upside down. Let me see. He stood up, taller than any of them, and almost as heavily muscled as Major. Upside down. Hold on, said James. Alfred, my guest. I invited him to come down. Hold on, said James. Alfred, my guest. I invited him to come down. Alfred took a step backwards, nearly knocking over an old wooden chair. Let's go, James. Major swaggered across the room, the metal tips on his pointed shoes clicking on the concrete floor. Click, 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 click. How much them Jews give you for slaving, Uncle Alfred? Jews, squeeze the eagle till it screamed. Jews squeeze the eagle till it screamed. Holy crap, said Hollis. The eagle screams. Faster, Alfred. Sweep that floor. You skinny, it say Niggr. Wow. Sweep that floor, you skinny nigger. Wow. They've been all right to me. They've been all right to me, said Alfred. How come you ain't working right? How come you ain't working right now, said Major, circling until he stood between Alfred and the door. Groceries closed at 8 o'clock. Groceries closed at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock? Groceries closed at 8 o'clock. They closed earlier on Friday to go to I can't pronounce this. Synagogue. They go pray for more dollars, said Hollis. They go pray for more dollars, said Hollis. Even James smiled. No, said Alfred. The Epsteins, there go another name. I told you names be popping up in this book. The Epsteins are very religious. They don't even touch money for before after sundown on Fridays. That's a lie, said Major. No, they even have money in the cash register so they won't have to. He bit his lip. Water dripped into the mop sink. Small explosions in the suddenly silent room. Small explosions in the suddenly silent room. Let's get it, whispered Hollis. Show us, said Major. No, you just a slave, sneered Major. You was born a slave. You gonna die a slave. Damn, that's harsh. Slave, echoed Sonny. I see you now, boy. Old and stooped, said Major, shuffling to the center of the room. Old and stooped. You be scratching your head and saying, Yashua Mishwa Lu. I can't pronounce this. It says Yassuh. Then I got a comma Mistuh. Lu Lima. It says Yasha Mistu Lu Lima. Brush them hairs often off your coat. Let me see. Brush them hairs often your coat. Yusha Mishua Jake. I be pleased ifin you allow me to wash your car. Wow. That's crazy. That way that what I just said, what I try to pronounce. Okay. Sonny and Hollis began to laugh. Oh, so they was mocking him. They was mocking Alfred. Okay, it's making fun of him. Okay. Sonny and Hollis began to laugh as Major shuffled around the dim, warm room, his muscular arms dangling like a monkey's, his eyes rolling, his black head bobbing in ugly imitation. Yeah, so they was mocking him, making fun of him, and let me see, his black head bobbing in ugly imitation of an old time Negro servant. So they was making fun of him, said he was a slave, a house nigga, all that kind of stuff. Yashia, Mr. Ben, I be so glad they making fun of him. I be so gratified ifin you kick me now and again. Wow. Show how much you white folks love us. The laughter rose, high-pitched and nervous. Alfred peeked at their faces, black and sweating, in the semicircle around him. Hollis and Sony. All right, that was 5. We on page 6. Grinning and nodding. James' chubby face was set and unsmiling as Major continued his imitation, scratching his nose, pouting his lips. Let me see. Yeah, James wasn't feeling it. That was Alfred's buddy. He wasn't feeling them making fun of him. Major and Sonny, they were making fun of him. Okay, and shaming and shambling, losing. Okay, start back again. Major continued his intimidation, scratching his nose, pouting his lips, and shambling loosely like a puppet at the end of a jerking strings. Alfred's hands were wet. You come on with us, said James. You know just where to. Then it's a hyphen and hypotheses. We don't need him if he's scared, said Hollis. He isn't scared, not him, said James. Look, Alfred, you don't owe them anything. They gave me a job, said Alfred, surprised at how far away his own voice sounded. Big job, said Hollis. Ushua, yelled Major. Ushua, yelled Major, shuffling back into the center. Miss Chua, Lou, I've been sweeping out your store for 40 year now. How about letting me deliver groceries? Dang. All right, hold on. They gave me a job, said Alfred, surprised at how far away his own voice sounded. Big job, said Hollis. Hollis and Sonny was still making fun of him. Yashi said, Yashua, yelled Major, shuffling back into the center. Miss Chua, Lou, I've been sweeping out your store for 40 years now. He making him sound like he a dumb and he an idiot. How about letting me deliver groceries on the bicycle? Onset in a while. He making him sound stupid. Alfred swallowed hard. I'm telling you do keep making. I'm just using my imagination. Alfred getting pissed off. He getting tired of making fun of him. The guys Sonny and Major. They sound like some assholes. All right. They was the only ones gave me a job when I quit school. He yelled. They fell quiet. They fell quiet again. You come on, Alfred, said James. James's buddy. He had his back. Softly, Whitey been stealing from us for 300 years. We just going to take some back now. You could stay outside. He looked out, said James. Major shouldered in between them. You coming? Alfred shook his head. Let's go, said Major, moving toward the door. He turned at the first step. Sonny and Hollis at his heels. James, let's go to the movies, James, said Alfred. That's all you ever want to do. That's what he was waiting on James for earlier when I was reading. He was waiting on James when he was sitting on the stoop to go to the movies. Let's go to the movies, James, said Alfred. That's all you ever do. That's all you ever want to do, said James. They started at each other. You coming, James, or you gonna be a slave too? James turned away. He followed the others up the steps to the street. The door banged shut behind them. Fool, thought Alfred, had to open your mouth. He kicked the chair across the room. Good kick, man. Where is everybody going in such a hurry? Henry limped down into the club room, dragging his crippled left leg, and perpetual grin spread across his skinny face. Alfred shrugged. Play some cards. I gotta go, Henry. Hey, Alfred, you know what I'm doing now. Mr. Donatelli, the fight manager. He's letting me. Where are you going? Out. The stench of wine and garbage still hung in the moist June air. He jammed his hands into the pockets of his tight blue slacks, watching the cars cruise past. Another year, he thought. Be 18. He thought. Be 18, able to drive. Sure. On grocery boy pay, slave. The grocery boy pay, slave. The bells of the ice cream truck jangled across the street, and a sudden roar burst from a dozen transistor radios. Somebody must have it Somebody must have it at home run. Somebody must have hit a home run. The Epsteins would be in their synagogue. I can't pronounce this again. Synagogue. I'm gonna say it again. Synagogue. I can't pronounce that. Now, wearing skull caps and praying, he started to walk towards his house, then stopped. Aunt Pearl would be sitting on the stoop. That's the same stoop he was sitting on when he was waiting on James to go to the movies, and Aunt Pearl came out from sweating from cooking. Waving the fan, the undertaker gave away at summer funerals. She would ask him why he wasn't with James. She would know if he was lying. He went back down to the club room. Henry was punching at his excuse me. She would know if he was lying, Aunt Pearl. He went back down to the club room. Henry was punching at his reflection in the cracked mirror. He dropped his hands when he saw Alfred, and the big grin turned sheepish. Shadowboxing, he said. Yeah. Shadowboxing, he said. Yeah. Mr. Donatelli's letting me work around the gym, take care of the gloves, and wash the mouthpieces. Big job. You ought to come up, Alfred. Willie Streeter's training now. You ought to come up, Alfred. Willie Streeter's training now. He's going to fight in the Madison Square Garden next week. Yeah, a lot of guys come up and train, said Henry. Yeah. Hey man, where you out? Hey man, were you out on the street again? He idly watched a green and white police cruiser slide by, a thick, hairy white arm hanging out of the open window. Alfred stiffened. The burglar alarm. The new silent burglar alarm installed at Epstein's the other night. How could I forget about that? They never hear it go off. It would ring in the detective's office, and they'd call the police right away. He began to run. Go to get James. Go to get James. Got to tell James. Go get James. Got to tell James. But the radio inside the police car began to crackle and sputter as if it had read his mind. The car suddenly picked up speed. Silently, a second police car joined the first. Then both wheeled around the corner, roaring into noise and light. Motors growling, headlights glaring, sirens howling. Alfred slowed down as hundreds of people came off stoops and street corners and poured out of bars toward four cruisers parked behind Epstein's. The doors of the police cars were open and the red roof lights were blinking. He heard shouts and a voice yelled, "Stop, stop!" A shot rang out. Pow, pow. Let's see. A shot rang out. Pow. All right. Maybe one shot, not two shots. He started running again toward the shot, but the crowd thickened in front of him. They caught one. Someone yelled from an upstairs window. The crowd surged forward, sweeping Alfred along. He tried to push through, but the crowd was too tightly packed. The man mumbled a voice off to his left, always looking to put his foot on a black throat. You saying the truth, brother. Only person police up here to watch out for them white stores. Wow. Only reason police up here to watch out for the white stores. So right. Police car door slammed shut and the cruisers drove away. Their sirens on. The crowd began to drift back to their stoops, to the drinks they had left on the bars. Alfred passed on past an old man who lived in his building and grabbed his arm. You see who they caught? The old man shook his head. They hustled him away. They hustled him away too fast, just one. A couple got away. Alfred pushed his way out of the crowd and onto a side street. He had to think. The three who got away would split up and hide. If James made it, there would be only one place for him to go. Alfred circled toward the park, his hands in his pockets, his head low. He kept his feet moving slowly. Police cars cruised by, and he felt eyes staring out at him. Keep walking slow. It was keep walking slow. It was quiet in the park. Couples were drinking and whispering on the grass, and the transistors were turned down. He saw the rock, big as a truck, outlined against a purple black sky. And his feet moved faster over the small rocks, over the low thicket of bushes. He dropped to his knees and wriggled through the tangled of stunted, twisted trees that hid the opening beneath the huge rock on his elbows. He crawled into the cave. He had forgotten how small it was. He could barely sit up. The thin layer of loose dirt on the flat rock floor was cool against his palms, and his head touched the jagged rock ceiling. He drew his knees up to his chest and held them. He slowed his breathing and strained his ears for James. He tried to remember the first time he had been in the cave. 10 years ago, James was there too. He was hardly ever in the cave without James. Alfred squeezed against the back, James up front, poking out his head to see if the coast was clear. They were just little kids then, running away from older boys like Major, who tried to hold them up for nickels on the street. They'd break and run when they saw Major coming. Wow, this is getting interesting. Circle around till they were out of sight, and sprint into. So I guess Major and Sonny was the bullies of the neighborhood. He's talking about when Alfred talking about when him and James, they were best friends when they were kids. I guess they used to get bullied back in the day. All right, around till they were out of sight. They used to circle around and get away from them till they were out of sight, because they would like bully kids for them for money when they were younger. All right. Then sprint into the park. They'd scramble through the underbrush into the cave, shaking and out of breath, clapping their hands over each other's mouths to muffle their laughter. After a while, James might start his imitations. He would be Mrs. McCormick, their public school principal, pressing his lips together until they almost disappeared, fluttering his eyelids. Children without education, man is a savage beast. They'd collapse into hiccuping laughter. Let me see. He making fun of a teacher they once knew. He was imitating Miss McCormick, a teacher they knew, McCormick, their public school principal. Oh, it was a principal. Excuse me. Pressing his lips together until they almost disappeared, fluttering his eyelids. Children without education, man is a savage beast. That's what the principal used to say. They collapse into hiccuping laughter as he made fun of the principal. And then James might screw up his face and make his eyes bulge. That's funny. Like Rick. And bulge like Rick, the white college boy who ran the summer program. Gotta hang in there, guys. Can't lose if you hang in there. They liked Rick, who showed them how professional basketball players took full shots and how to throw curveballs. They were getting good. To to they were getting good too until Major and Sonny and Hollis began hanging around the playground. Wow, they were the bullies. Major, Sonny, and Hollis. I take it they were the bullies, making remarks and kicking balls out of their hands. One summer, Rick just didn't come back. Yeah. So I'm gonna stop right there. Wow, it sounded like Major, Sonny, and Hollis, whoever these people were, they were the bullies of that time of Alfred and James. But that was page 12, and I'm gonna start back. I got a little bit at the bottom of page 12, and that's where I'll start off and start back on. We'll start on page 13 of book session of the Contender. And forgive me for fumbling words and can't pronounce certain words. That's why we read. It's a lot of words in one's vocabulary that I don't use. So that's why it's good to read and explore and look up things. And we explore life too. Try to I've been to a lot of places. It's good to travel a lot of places too. We gotta explore that too. Cause I can name a few places I've been. I haven't been everywhere, but I have been some places, and I can name a few. Milltown, which is where I reside now. Milltown, Florida, Chicago. Even if it's small states, I'll name them. Springfield, Champaign. I've been to New York. Let me see. I've been to St. Louis. I've been a few places. Kansas. I used to live in Kansas, which was wonderful. I loved it in Kansas, but that was back in the 90s. And I've been to New York, not all over, but I have been there. And when I was there, I wish I would have sightseen and seen a little more. But I did see a little bit. So it was good to see, to travel, explore, and travel, but especially in our minds. We express in our we express too, but we explore in our mind, body, and soul, and just do things. We're not gonna do things perfect all the time. We're not good at everything, but that's why we learn. We seek knowledge, and man, just keep that righteous motivation. I'm telling you, we never go wrong. So that was just a little something I wanted to bring to my current subscriber, new subscriber, anybody that view. And thanks to Robert Litt's site and my goddaughter for giving me this book. And she gave me another book too that I'll be reading called The Game. And that'll be the next book. And the next book session I'll start. Because it's gonna be a lot of episodes. So because it's 150 pages in this book. So I just wanted to read a little bit, as I said, for the listeners. I wanted to read and try to inspire others to read more, because it's good. And again, whatever gift we have, outside of our jobs, if we have one, do something we love, something that's just between us and God, like I said. So thank those for coming in to another edition of EBX Discussion and another book session. Again, there'll be more of those, and I'll keep those posted on the father and son discussions with my son, Lord Lamont, salute, and the volunteering at my son Ethan's school, which is doing fine. And I was supposed to go I was supposed to go today and didn't make it, but I was tired and had to get a little rest because I do work a job. But I will get there. I will still go, and I'm not going to give up on them. It's just some days I can't make it, and I make it when I can, because we got to preserve ourselves. Those of us that, again, are leaders or leaders within, or we're accountable for things, we have to make sure we right. My leaders and teachers in the world or online and in our families and head of households. Make sure we do things to keep ourselves straight. We got to be straight. We can't be worn out. Our energy got to be at 100, best we can, and no less than 90, and because we got to keep ourselves right so we can be a righteous impact to others. That's whether it's family, brothers and sisters, children, our generals, our comrades. Got to make sure we right. Get plenty of rest. Set that tone every morning, as I say. Reflect on things. Think of ways to come up with solutions. Let nothing drain us. Let nothing toxic drain us, whether it's social media, the media, person, place, thing. And be the strongest, generals that we can be, and we are. We got to keep those pistons firing at all times. Real talk. And reading is one tool. There are many divine tools that we can have in this life, brothers and sisters, to keep us firm and strong and ready for whatever's to come. And and understand, overstand, and understand those who have struggles and those who have fought hard to get to a success state of mind, because it can be very, very challenging. Because you can have all the success you want in life once we are successful in our way of thinking. Man, when we got our energy right, our money be right. When our energy right, our relationships will be right. When our energy is right, everything we touch will turn to gold. Because that's something I always place over our families. May all of our families prosper, and everything we touch turn to gold. So again, I'll always be encouraging and inspiring and do something to lift us and somewhat educate us as I educate oneself, because self-therapy is a very powerful thing if we're able to. Don't forget, folks, you need help in something, whatever area it is. If life, body, situation, family, children, and do it. Look for any solution we can. Don't ever give up on nothing. And if we can't, get help from someone else. But make sure someone we trust. We got it. We had that discernment. We can't play with that discernment. It's more than just a word. Make sure our discernment is on fire. Our discernment is on fire. Kind of fumbled that. Yeah. So ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I know that's a cliche and we hear that a lot, but it's a way of life. It's wonderful because man, that righteous in the present, it's so wonderful. When you're accountable and we take care of our shit, because that's what it's about. That's what we do all these things for, so we can stay on top of things and be, the greatest version of ourselves that we ever been before, and help others to be leaders themselves. Real talk, we all can be leaders with a student spirit. Got to keep that student spirit. So thank those for coming in to another book session, and I love, it's wonderful communicating, getting things up out of us, and not manipulating or tricking, and just trying to lift those. Again, current subscriber, new subscriber, anybody that view, brother or sister, family, children, brothers and sisters, generals all over the world. May we please keep that ultimate peace in your part of the world, wherever you are right now. Salute.